Welcome to Beyond the Call, where history, leadership, and heroism come alive. Today's episode explores Colonel Charles P. Murray, Jr., a powerful story of courage and perseverance. If you enjoy learning more about military history and extraordinary individuals, be sure to visit trackpads.com for articles, podcasts, and more. Introduction. Colonel Charles Patrick Chuck Murray, Jr. stands as one of the most compelling examples of bravery and leadership in World War II. He earned the Medal of Honor for his heroic actions near Kaysersberg, France, on December 16, 1944. Leading Company C, 1st Battalion, 30th Infantry Regiment of the 3rd Infantry Division, Murray single-handedly thwarted a dangerous German counterattack. He demonstrated exceptional courage and tactical brilliance under fire. His fearless assault significantly disrupted enemy operations, inspiring his men and turning the tide of a critical battle. In the heat of combat, facing overwhelming odds, Murray's calm determination and unwavering resolve became legendary among his troops. As artillery rounds bracketed enemy positions and machine gun fire intensified, Murray advanced alone, methodically eliminating threats and clearing a path for his men. His incredible actions culminated in capturing enemy positions and neutralizing significant threats, a feat that would earn him the highest recognition the United States can bestow for valor, the Medal of Honor. Historical context. By late 1944, the Allies had gained significant momentum in their campaign to liberate Europe from Nazi occupation. The invasion of Normandy had marked a decisive turning point earlier in June, allowing Allied forces to press further into occupied territories. However, as winter approached, German resistance stiffened dramatically, launching fierce counteroffensives in a desperate bid to reclaim lost ground. The battles during this period, including the infamous Battle of the Bulge, represented some of the most intense and costly engagements of the war. The fighting near Kaysersberg, France, was particularly crucial due to its strategic location near the heavily contested Vosges Mountains. This mountainous terrain provided a formidable defensive barrier for the German forces and complicated offensive operations for the Allies. Gaining control of this region was critical, as it would allow Allied forces to push deeper into German-held territory and eventually cross into Germany itself. Thus, the battles around Kaysersberg were marked by ferocious resistance and required extraordinary bravery and tactical expertise to overcome. On December 16, 1944, the same day German forces launched the Battle of the Bulge, Colonel Murray's unit, Company C of the 1st Battalion, 30th Infantry Regiment, faced intense combat near Kaysersberg. This area had become heavily fortified as German troops were determined to hold their positions at all costs. Company C was tasked with securing critical terrain, which required navigating difficult landscapes and heavily fortified enemy defenses, adding significant complexity to their mission. The 3rd Infantry Division, to which Murray belonged, had a storied history of combat effectiveness and resilience. Known as the Rock of the Marne, the division had previously distinguished itself in North Africa, Sicily, Italy, and now in France. Its soldiers were hardened veterans, accustomed to rigorous fighting conditions and capable of executing complex operations under intense enemy fire. Their role in the European theater was pivotal, consistently being called upon to undertake some of the toughest assignments of the war. Within this historical context, Murray's individual actions stood out as extraordinary, demonstrating the kind of courage and initiative necessary to overcome entrenched enemy resistance. His bravery not only secured vital tactical objectives but also provided inspiration and moral fortitude for his fellow soldiers. In the bitter cold and brutal conditions of winter combat, Murray exemplified the resolve and leadership needed to achieve victory, solidifying his place among the most distinguished heroes of World War II. Personal background. Charles Patrick Murray, Jr. was born on September 26, 1921, in Baltimore, Maryland, but spent much of his early life in Wilmington, North Carolina. He demonstrated an early sense of duty and leadership, graduating from Wilmington's New Hanover High School in 1938 and continuing his education at the University of North Carolina. Drafted into the United States Army in 1942 during his third year of college, Murray quickly adapted to military life, demonstrating remarkable aptitude and rising through the ranks to become a commissioned officer. After World War II, Murray continued serving with distinction in the Army, participating in the Korean and Vietnam Wars, and eventually achieving the rank of colonel. Upon retiring from active military service, he served the community as part of the South Carolina Department of Corrections, making his home in Columbia, South Carolina, with his wife Anne. Murray passed away on August 12, 2011, and was honored with a burial at Arlington National Cemetery, remembered as a dedicated soldier and respected leader, whose name remains synonymous with courage and valor. Medal of Honor citation. For commanding Company C, 30th Infantry, displaying supreme courage and heroic initiative near Kaysersberg, France, on December 16, 1944, while leading a reinforced platoon into enemy territory. Descending into a valley beneath hilltop positions held by our troops, he observed a force of 200 German soldiers forming for a counterattack on friendly positions. He directed artillery fire into the assembly area, dispersing the enemy but leaving about 20 Germans, who shortly thereafter resumed the advance. With artillery fire lifting, Captain Murray led his men down the slope toward the enemy, firing from exposed positions as he went. When his platoon was pinned down, he single-handedly charged the enemy, killing 10 and forcing the others to flee. Capturing 10 German soldiers, he returned to his platoon position and reorganized his men. Despite being wounded by grenade fragments, he then led his men in a final attack, securing the objective and capturing 11 more prisoners. Captain Murray's fearless leadership, relentless determination, and heroic initiative saved the lives of many of his men, contributing materially to the successful outcome of his company's mission. The Battle and Medal of Honor actions. On the bitterly cold morning of December 16, 1944, Captain Charles P. Murray, Jr. and his men of Company C were tasked with a critical mission near Kaysersberg, France. Their objective was straightforward yet daunting: secure the key defensive positions overlooking a strategically vital valley. Murray, knowing the significance of this terrain, led his reinforced platoon carefully through the treacherous landscape, aware that German forces had regrouped and were preparing a vigorous counterattack. As Murray's platoon descended into the valley, their vantage point allowed them to observe the assembling enemy troops below clearly. Murray quickly assessed the situation, estimating around 200 German soldiers forming ranks for an imminent assault against the American-held positions above. Recognizing the immediate danger to the friendly forces on the hilltops, he promptly radioed precise coordinates to artillery units positioned to provide support. Moments later, artillery shells burst into the enemy ranks, sending chaos through the German assembly area. The intense bombardment disrupted the enemy's formation and forced many soldiers into disarray. However, as the dust settled and the artillery ceased fire, roughly 20 determined German soldiers regrouped and resumed their advance, threatening to undermine the gains just achieved. Realizing the gravity of the moment, Murray knew immediate action was necessary. Without hesitation, Murray ordered his platoon forward into a direct confrontation with the advancing enemy troops. They moved swiftly down the slope, exposing themselves to enemy fire as they went. Soon, heavy German gunfire halted the platoon's advance, pinning Murray's men down in precarious positions and halting their momentum. At this critical juncture, Murray understood he had to do something drastic to break the stalemate. Taking the initiative entirely upon himself, Murray charged forward alone, directly toward the enemy position. Under a relentless hail of bullets and artillery fire, he moved methodically, firing his weapon with disciplined precision. His daring assault stunned the German soldiers, who could not react quickly enough to his audacious move. Within moments, Murray eliminated 10 enemy combatants, breaking their cohesion and causing panic to spread among the remaining enemy troops. With the enemy fleeing and in total disarray, Murray quickly captured 10 German soldiers who had surrendered, guiding them safely back to his platoon. Even after sustaining painful wounds from grenade fragments during his courageous solo assault, he refused medical attention and instead immediately reorganized his men. Emboldened by their leader's bravery, the platoon rallied, launching a decisive attack that secured their primary objective and led to the capture of 11 additional prisoners, fully accomplishing their critical mission. Reflections and lessons learned. Colonel Murray's remarkable courage during the fight near Kaysersberg offers profound lessons on leadership and the power of individual action. His willingness to step forward alone into grave danger demonstrated a critical military principle: leaders must sometimes take personal risks to achieve greater strategic objectives. His actions vividly illustrate that effective leadership often demands personal sacrifice and the courage to act decisively under extreme pressure. Murray's story also provides valuable insights into the importance of adaptability and quick thinking in combat situations. When artillery alone proved insufficient to halt the enemy, Murray instinctively adapted, shifting tactics from indirect fire support to a direct and highly risky frontal assault. This adaptability under duress exemplifies a vital lesson applicable to modern military operations and leadership in civilian life, emphasizing flexibility and resourcefulness as keys to overcoming obstacles. Finally, the broader ethical dimension of Murray's heroism remains relevant today, reinforcing the value of personal responsibility and selflessness. His actions were driven not merely by orders or obligations, but by an unwavering sense of duty to protect the lives of his soldiers. This powerful example continues to resonate, reminding military and civilian leaders alike of the ethical imperative to place collective well-being above personal safety or ambition. Colonel Murray's story is more than a tale of wartime valor. It is a lasting blueprint for how courage, leadership, and ethics can converge in a moment to change the course of history. Closing. Colonel Charles P. Murray Jr.'s actions on December 16, 1944, vividly demonstrate the extraordinary bravery and leadership that define Medal of Honor recipients. His willingness to risk everything for his soldiers exemplifies the highest ideals of military service, providing timeless lessons about courage, adaptability, and ethical leadership. As we continue to explore remarkable stories of heroism, stay tuned for our next compelling installment of Beyond the Call. Be sure to subscribe and share this series to honor these legendary heroes and their enduring legacies. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Beyond the Call. If you would like to dive deeper into more stories of bravery, leadership, and history, visit trackpads.com. Until next time, keep exploring, stay inspired, and remember, the lessons of the past shape the warriors of the future.